There are royal stories that begin with evidence, documents, court rulings, photographs, and official statements. And then there are royal stories that begin with smoke. A rumor, a symbol, a missing ring, a magazine source, an anonymous friend, a furious denial, and a public that has already decided which version it wants to believe. The latest round of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle coverage sits exactly in that second category. It is not a clean story about one proven event. It is a story about how quickly suspicion becomes contempt, how quickly silence becomes interpreted as guilt, and how quickly a couple who built so much of their public life on telling their side now find themselves trapped by other people telling theirs. At the centre of it is Lady Colin Campbell, New Idea Australia, claims the Sussexes reportedly regard as unfounded, and a wider argument about whether Harry and Meghan can still ignore gossip when gossip has become part of their brand weather.
If first of all, Meghan Markle can't sue me for anything because I'd never said anything about her that was untrue or defamatory or unfair, or that somehow wasn't pegged in her own conduct. So right there, she doesn't have a leg.
First thing to say clearly is that the alleged affair story discussed in the original material should not be treated as established fact. It is a rumour and it has been disputed. New Idea framed the Sussex position as one of anger and unity, saying there was no truth to the claims and that the couple remained a united front. That matters because without evidence, the responsible way to discuss the episode is not to present the allegation as reality. The more interesting question is not whether strangers on the internet can prove something about Harry's private life. They cannot. The more interesting question is why the rumour travelled so fast, why it felt believable to some people before anything had been demonstrated, and why the Sussexes, who once commanded huge sympathy as a wronged couple escaping the palace, now face a public mood in which many viewers are ready to entertain almost any negative interpretation. That shift did not happen overnight.
So we've finally heard from Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in regards to Lady Colin Campbell's bombshell reporting involving Prince Harry, a certain mystery female friend in Montecito, and also a missing engagement ring. So Lady C is going to be here imminently to respond to this report in New Idea Australia, which is headline print.
Harry and Meghan spent years turning private pain into public narrative. The Oprah interview, the Netflix series Spare, the podcasts, the speeches, the security battles, the complaints about the press, the family disclosures, the emotional language around survival and freedom. All of it created a world where their marriage, family, relationships, and personal motives were no longer just background. They became the product, or at least the engine behind the product. That does not mean the couple forfeited all privacy. No human being does. But it does mean they changed the public's expectations. Once a celebrity couple asks the audience to judge the intimate behavior of fathers, brothers, sisters-in-law, palisades, tabloids, and institutions, that same audience learns to keep judging. It does not easily return to polite distance when the next rumour involves the couple themselves. This is the uncomfortable bind Harry and Meghan now face. If they ignore a rumour, critics say the silence speaks volumes. If they brief against it, critics say they are panicking.
It's Harry and Meghan Markle's upset over what they describe as unfounded affair claims. They report thus standing united against vicious rumours. This from the magazine. There is of course no truth to Lady Colin Campbell's rumours, and the couple remain a united front. An insider telling the magazine, Harry's fed up with these outrageous claims, What isn't helping their situation is the fact they've studiously ignored Lady C, who has for the...
If they threaten legal action, critics say they are trying to bully people into silence. If they do nothing, the rumour keeps circulating. If they do something, the rumour becomes larger. In older royal life, the standard tactic was usually to starve gossip of oxygen. The palace understood that not every insult deserves a response, because a denial can give a fringe story a royal stamp of importance. But Harry and Meghan are no longer operating inside that palace discipline. They are half royal, half celebrity, and fully digital age personalities. Their supporters expect defense. Their critics expect contradiction. Their commercial life depends on visibility, and their legal history makes every whisper sound like a possible lawsuit. That legal history is crucial. Prince Harry has repeatedly taken the press to court, sometimes with success and sometimes with serious setbacks. In July 2026, he and 6 other claimants lost a major case against Associated Newspapers, the publisher of the Daily Mail.
Past 5 years even claimed that Meghan didn't give birth to either Archie or Lilibet, an insider tells New Idea. It's probably why her new claims about a mistress and Meghan discovering damning texts have gone viral. But suggesting Harry and this woman have been seen out and about is bizarre in a world of smartphones. Where the couple do differ, however, is how to handle the situation. Lady C has a long history of causing problems for the pair, and Meghan, who turns 45 this week, is ready to fight back. Harry, 41, meanwhile, is having a hard time reminding his wife that it's
Mail on Sunday and Mail Online after alleging unlawful information gathering. The High Court dismissed the claims, with Mr. Justice Nicklin finding that the claimants had not proved the information in the disputed articles had been obtained unlawfully. Associated Newspapers said it would seek to recover costs, and reports placed the potential bill at a very high figure, though the exact outcome remains subject to further proceedings and insurance arrangements. That defeat matters because it changes the emotional meaning of another potential legal fight. A lawsuit is no longer automatically a show of strength. It can look like a financial risk, a reputational gamble, and another chapter in Harry's increasingly exhausting war with the media. So when a magazine source suggests Meghan might want to fight back while Harry wants restraint, the tension sounds plausible even if the sourcing remains anonymous. Meghan's instinct, as often portrayed by commentators, is to control narrative, challenge attacks.
not usually the royal way to take legal action. Coming from the guy who sued all and sundry, especially when they're trying to get back in his father's good graces. As a royal, Harry refuses to engage in this type of low-level gossip, but it's distressing for Meghan, who wanted to shut down this woman's outrageous claims years ago, says the insider. The timing couldn't be worse. This story exploded right when they're trying to ingratiate themselves with the king. Things were already tense between Meghan and Harry after she posted those pics at Althorpe. Harry's frustrations at her inability to understand how royals work have reached fever pitch. Certainly don't sound too nice.
And refused to let critics define her. Harry's instinct is more complicated. He despises press intrusion, but he also knows the royal rulebook well enough to understand that some gossip should be ignored. He has sued more than almost any modern royal, yet he also wants to rebuild trust with King Charles after the private Highgrove reunion. That creates a collision. A public legal war over a rumour would not make the Sussexes look calmer, more reconciled, or more focused on family repair. It would drag them back into exactly the kind of spectacle that Buckingham Palace wants to avoid. This is where Lady Colin Campbell becomes such a charged figure. She is not simply a random social media account. She has written about the royal family for decades, built a loyal audience, and made herself a persistent thorn in the Sussex side. Her critics regard her as provocative, harsh, and sometimes far too willing to air claims from anonymous sources. Her supporters see her as someone who says what more cautious royal commentators will not.
To me, new idea. Further adding to the couple's woes, Harry has reportedly been stung with his share in a whopping $34 million legal bill after losing his privacy case against the publishers of the Daily Mail. The timing of Lady C's claims is interesting. Our insider notes, Harry may not have the resources to fight another court battle now. Okay, Lady C, you are also responding today to claims that the story may have been given to you, actually indirectly, by Meghan Markle. Some suggestion that potentially she is trying to catch you out.
The original exchange, she defended her reporting forcefully, said she had relied on people she considered reputable, and insisted she was not intimidated by possible threats from the Sussexes. But the real power of her intervention is not that it proves anything. It is that she understands the modern rumour economy. A carefully hedged claim can travel almost as far as a confirmed fact if it lands inside an audience already primed to believe it. That is why the idea of a planted story also appeared in the discussion. Some commentators wondered whether hostile or strategic actors could have fed a false claim to Lady Colin Campbell in order to catch her out. That kind of trap is not impossible in media culture. Public figures, publicists, and rival camps sometimes test reporters, leak selectively, or use false information to expose channels of communication. But there is no public evidence establishing that Meghan's team planted this particular story. It remains a theory about a theory, and that is exactly why it should be handled carefully.
Well, Dan, I actually hadn't seen or been aware of the New Idea piece until you mentioned it to me. Sorry. Because, as you know, I've been pretty ill, and I find, my functionality is very limited, but I had absolutely no idea about New Idea.
No idea about New Idea. You're doing so well, by the way, back at Castle Goring. It's amazing to see.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. But, I mean, New Idea is a joke. I mean, I couldn't, in fact...
Still, the theory itself reveals the larger atmosphere. Nobody trusts anyone. The Sussexes do not trust parts of the press. Their critics do not trust the Sussexes. Commentators do not trust one another's sourcing. Audiences do not trust denials. The result is a fog in which every person claims to be exposing manipulation while participating in the same cycle. The missing ring conversation works in a similar way. Meghan's engagement ring is not just jewellery. It is a piece of the Sussex origin myth. Prince Harry designed it with a centre diamond from Botswana, where the couple's early relationship became emotionally significant, and side stones from Princess Diana's collection. From the beginning, the ring represented three things at once: romance, Diana's memory, and Harry's promise that Meghan was being brought into a family story larger than ordinary celebrity love. Over the years, the ring has been redesigned, discussed, compared, photographed, and interpreted.
But it's ludicrous. First of all, I have never said, and this is where all these idiots will always fall flat on their faces. I have been very measured as to what I have said, and I have been very careful as to what I have reported upon, and I have been actually very frank about how this information was brought to me by reputable members of the Democratic Party in the United States of America.
So when Meghan appears without it, or appears with a different ring, people do not see a simple styling choice. They see a message. Because the ring was already made into a message. That does not mean every absence is a marital clue. People remove rings for resizing, repairs, travel, security, comfort, styling, pregnancy, swelling, filming continuity, or simple preference. Recent coverage has also noted that Meghan has continued to wear or display her original engagement ring in some contexts, while also wearing a new pear-shaped diamond ring on her right hand. That complicates the claim that the ring has simply vanished as a clear symbol of crisis, but symbolism rarely waits for full context. If a public figure is known for careful image management, audiences assume every visible choice is intentional. Meghan has built a polished visual language around herself, from clothing to jewelry to product styling. That means the audience reads her body like a press release.
But I have been very careful to put limits on how I have presented the information and what I have said. And they can all make the most bizarre claims they want. All I can tell you is, first of all, Meghan Markle can't sue me for anything because I'd never said anything about her that was untrue or defamatory or unfair, or that somehow wasn't pegged in her own conduct. So right there, she doesn't have
even when it may just be an outfit. The Princess Diana comparison is especially tempting and especially dangerous. Diana understood visual messaging better than almost anyone in royal history. The famous image of her sitting alone in front of the Taj Mahal in 1992 became a non-verbal statement about a marriage already in deep trouble. She did not need to give a speech for the world to understand the loneliness being communicated. Because Meghan has often been compared to Diana, every possible symbol around her marriage is pulled into that old visual grammar. No engagement ring, people reach for Diana. A solitary image, people reach for Diana. A public silence, people reach for Diana. But the comparison can become lazy. Diana's circumstances were specific. A young princess trapped inside a visibly collapsing royal marriage, dealing with a future king, a palace machine, and a global press environment very different from today's influencer-driven ecosystem. Meghan's story is not
stand on. I'm not afraid of Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle is a third-rate, shall we say, greaser and bully. I'm used to first-rate bullies. So she doesn't frighten me in the slightest. And if she tried anything on for size, I'd crush her the way an elephant crushes an ant. As for Harry, I've said nothing defamatory about him either. And he can't sue me either. And also, it's amazing that after 7 years with Harry, Meghan still doesn't.
Diana's story, even when Meghan and Harry borrow Diana's emotional atmosphere. That borrowing is part of the problem. Harry has repeatedly invoked his mother as a moral reference point, especially in relation to press intrusion, safety, and the fear that history could repeat itself. Meghan has been framed by supporters as a woman who, like Diana, challenged a cold institution and paid a personal price. But critics argue that the Sussexes use Diana's memory as protective armor. If the public accepts Meghan as a second Diana, then criticism of Meghan can be cast as a replay of the cruelty that destroyed Diana. If Harry can position his choices as loyalty to his mother's legacy, then his fights with press and family gain emotional force. Yet, the more often Diana is invoked, the more some viewers resent it. They see not reverence, but strategy. That is why even a ring debate can become loaded. Diana's diamonds sit on Meghan's hand, but Diana's story also sits over the entire Sussex brand.
How to behave in the approximation of ladylike behavior. And she's still that rather greasy little chancer that she always was. So I'm not at all intimidated by her or by him. And all I can say is, if they think that they have an action that they can bring against me, bring it on. I'll see them in a court of law.
And Lady C, you are convinced that this story was brought to you by genuine forces?
Rumour about marital trouble, therefore, becomes less about one alleged mystery woman and more about a public question. What exactly is holding the Sussex project together now? Love may well be holding it together in private. No outsider can know the emotional reality of a marriage from photographs, jewelry, or gossip. But the public brand of the marriage was built on partnership against the world. Harry and Meghan sold themselves as a unit, rescuing each other, protecting each other, escaping together, building together, healing together, fighting together. If cracks appear in that image, or if people begin to suspect separate agendas, the entire structure looks vulnerable. A normal couple can have private tensions without public consequence. The Sussexes turned unity into a central commercial and moral asset, so any perceived disunity becomes news. This is why New Ideas' phrase about a united front is so revealing. A couple that is genuinely boringly stable does not need to be described as a united front.
Celebrities do, isn't it? If they're trying to catch out a journalist, or if they're trying to catch out an enemy commentator, it's like, let's give them a false story and try and make them look stupid. But you are convinced that's not the case.
Absolutely. Of course, Dan, I've been at this for nearly 50 years.
I don't believe it, Lady C. What, since you're 4 years old?
Sorry?
Since you were 4 years old then?
Oh, darling, sorry, you forget I'm coming up for 47. I was still a fetus when we're speaking about this. No, fun and joke aside. The
phrase usually appears when outsiders already think there is something to defend. It is the language of crisis management, not ordinary domestic life. Again, that does not prove a crisis. It proves that the public conversation has moved into crisis language. And once a couple reaches that point, everything becomes evidence. Who attends an event, who speaks first, who posts on Instagram, who wears a ring, who looks tense, who misses a birthday tribute, who is seen alone, who travels separately, who briefs through a source, who refuses to comment. A marriage becomes a puzzle board for strangers. There is also a classically royal irony here. Harry once lived inside a system that understood rumour as a permanent condition of public life. The royal family has survived scandals, affairs, divorces, leaks, betrayals, books, and documentaries, because the institution is bigger than any one wave of gossip. Individual reputations suffer, but the crown endures through ritual, restraint, and time.
In the public eye, commenting and writing on certain matters, I have never once been found to have been inaccurate or lacking. Now, I have that track record. Let's compare it to Meghan and Harry's track record, because they have proven track records of lack of veracity and reliability. Also, the idea that I would have been repeating something that came to me.
Harry left that system partly because he believed it failed to protect him and Meghan, but outside the system, he no longer benefits from its full shielding effect. He has freedom to answer back, but answering back can make him look reactive. He has freedom to sue, but suing can make him look consumed. He has freedom to tell his truth, but after telling it so often, he now faces an audience that feels licensed to examine every private corner of his own life. The Diana seatbelt argument in the original material may seem like a side road, but it actually fits the same theme: public memory, offence, and the strange way royal tragedy becomes everyday moral shorthand. The segment discussed Megan Pickford, wife of England goalkeeper Jordan Pickford, who reportedly faced backlash after a TikTok caption referencing Princess Diana and seatbelt safety. The reaction, as described, was that some people found the comparison offensive. Others argued that the underlying message was practical and not disrespectful.
And that I was going to be so Meganian and Haroldian and stupid and cack-handedly naive as those two rather slick but inefficient operators are. That I was going to perform down to the gutter level that they perform at. And I was going to run with something that I hadn't checked out. I happen to know that the people who brought this information to me are very reputable, reliable. They have...
Diana's death did change the way many people thought about wearing seatbelts, especially in the back seat. The responsible version of that point is simple. Princess Diana died after the Paris crash of the 31st of August 1997, and later reporting and inquest discussion repeatedly noted that wearing seatbelts could have improved the occupants' chances of survival. It is not necessary to turn that into a joke or a crude remark, but it is legitimate to say that a tragedy can teach a safety lesson. What is interesting is how quickly a safety message can become a cancellation debate when Diana's name appears. Diana remains emotionally protected in British public life. People feel ownership over her memory, and they police the tone around her with unusual intensity. That is understandable up to a point. Her death was shocking, intimate, and globally mourned. But public memory can become so fragile that even a useful lesson is treated as an insult. The healthier approach is to distinguish between mockery and application. If someone uses Diana's death
positions in the United States, they are fully fledged, paid up members of the Democratic Party, and they have certain sympathies and positions which I am not prepared to go into in any great depth, but they certainly have positions. And the idea that I was going to somehow be duped by some third-rate operator who constantly is wiping her nose because it's constantly dribbling and has a glass of champagne.
Sneer, exploit, or perform cruelty. Criticism is fair. If someone says, in effect, that Diana's death reminds them to wear a seatbelt, the reaction should be more measured. A society that cannot make a practical lesson from tragedy risks turning memory into a museum piece, too sacred to help the living. This connects back to Harry because Diana's death is the emotional root of so much of his public life. His fear of paparazzi, his anger at tabloids, his obsession with security, and his protectiveness toward Meghan all draw power from what happened to his mother. But when Diana becomes the permanent foundation of every argument, the public grows uneasy. They can sympathize with trauma while still questioning whether it justifies every later choice. They can acknowledge press cruelty while still asking whether Harry's own media strategy has become destructive. They can respect Diana's memory
at all, but there, so all of a sudden you have some brain dead idiot saying that he has been told that Meghan's people are the ones who planted it. First of all, he doesn't know who told me, so that's an outright lie right there. And secondly, since he can't know who told me, how is he in a position to comment? I mean, he's just making a total ass of himself. But that doesn't surprise me because I've been used to the fact that many of these journalists
while rejecting the idea that every conflict involving Harry and Meghan is simply another chapter of Diana versus the press. The seatbelt debate is a small example of the broader problem. Diana's legacy is real, but it cannot be used to stop all interpretation. The Queen Camilla Journalism Award segment adds another layer, because it shifts the story from rumour to the crisis of media trust. Queen Camilla, as patron of the journalists' charity, has lent her name to efforts supporting young and early career journalists. The initiative described in the original material offered awards to help 25 winners develop their careers. On its face, that is a worthy cause. Journalism is under pressure. Local newspapers have closed. Digital platforms have swallowed advertising money. Young reporters often struggle with low pay, and public trust in news has declined. Supporting new journalists could be seen as a public good. But in a royal context, and especially in a royal media context, even a well-intentioned prize raises questions.
Are really little better than ambulance chasers. So
indeed,
none of it stacks up, and I'm totally unconcerned by the whole thing. And who doesn't like it can lump it.
And Lady C, this week Maureen Callahan on The Nerve, where you were also a regular contributor, spoke about your story, but also in the context, Lady C, of this missing engagement ring, which has been off for anywhere from 4 days to 5 months. So I just want to show you what Maureen reported.
It's been off for months.
The worry is not that young journalists should be denied support. The worry is what kind of journalism gets rewarded. If the award encourages careful reporting, open-minded inquiry, local accountability, court reporting, public interest investigations, and genuine viewpoint diversity, it could do real good. If it simply reinforces a narrow mainstream culture that already protects access, flatters institutions, and treats dissenting voices as untidy, then critics will see it as another establishment pipeline. Royal reporting has long had a tension between access and independence. The Royal Rota provides structure and proximity, but proximity can create caution. Reporters who depend on access may become too polite. Commentators outside the system can be freer, but they can also become reckless. The future of journalism has to solve both problems: access without obedience, independence without irresponsibility. That point matters directly to the Sussex story.
In public for at least 5 days. Now, Yahoo is actually reporting she hasn't been wearing it in public for 4 months, but most news outlets only realized this about 5 days ago, which tells us a lot about the waning interest in Meghan Markle in the marketplace, right? Imagine.
And Maureen suggested that Markle is trying to send a message in the same way Princess Diana did outside the Taj Mahal.
Do you remember, for those troublemakers who were alive back then, when Princess Diana sat in front of the Taj Mahal?
Harry and Meghan built their post-royal media campaign on the claim that traditional royal journalism was distorted, racist, cruel, and overly dependent on palace briefing. In some cases, their criticisms struck a nerve because the royal press has not always covered itself in glory. But the alternative media world that grew around Sussex criticism has its own failures. Anonymous claims, monetized outrage, selective evidence, personal attacks, and an appetite for humiliation. Mainstream journalism can be too cautious. Independent commentary can be too wild. Both can fail the audience. That is why Camilla's association with a journalism prize is symbolically delicate. If the monarchy appears to support journalism, it must not look like it is merely rewarding the kind of journalism that serves the monarchy. In a healthier media culture, the Lady Colin Campbell rumour would be handled with restraint. A commentator could say a claim has been made, note that it is disputed, examine why it has gained traction, and avoid presenting private allegations as settled truth.
A message. Seated alone, one of the most beautiful women in the world, in front of the globe's most famous monument to romantic love. She was saying non-verbally, the rumors are true. The palace may be denying them, but the rumors are true. My marriage is in deep, deep trouble. You don't think Meghan's a student of this shit?
And Maureen went on to say that Meghan Markle would not be taking off the engagement ring for no reason.
Her engagement ring is worth $140,000, and as we will...
The magazine could report the Sussex denial without turning the denial into melodrama. Viewers could understand the difference between suspicion and evidence. But the incentives push in the opposite direction. Outrage travels faster than nuance. A missing ring gets more clicks than a careful explanation of jewelry history. A legal threat sounds more exciting than a sober discussion of defamation law. A royal marriage rumour is more clickable than a discussion of how public trust collapses over time. The result is a media ecosystem in which everyone says they want truth while rewarding heat. Harry and Meghan have contributed to that ecosystem even while complaining about it. Their most successful post-royal content was not quiet charity work. It was revelation, it was family conflict, it was emotional disclosure. It was the promise of secrets finally told that trained audiences to expect drama from them. Now, When drama arrives from outside their camp, they dislike the rules of the game.
Riches. This engagement ring is a 3-carat cushion cut center diamond from Botswana, which has significance because Botswana figured very prominently in Harry and Meghan's origin story as a couple. It is surrounded, that 3-carat diamond is surrounded by 2 side diamonds once belonging to Princess Diana. Normally that thing would come off with like a crowbar. Like the jaws of life would have to remove it. So, we're not wearing...
But audiences rarely separate authorized drama from unauthorized drama. They simply learn that the Sussex story is where private royal conflict happens. This is the cost of making personal truth a brand. The truth may be yours at first, but the marketplace eventually invites everyone else to sell a version. For Meghan, the ring symbolism is especially difficult because so much of her public identity is visual. Her clothing is decoded, her jewelry is decoded, her Instagram captions are decoded, her kitchen is decoded, her product labels are decoded, her body language is decoded. Some of that scrutiny is unfair, and some of it is the natural result of operating as a lifestyle figure. Lifestyle branding asks people to care about details. It tells viewers that the napkin, the flower, the bracelet, the jam jar, the pan, the garden, and the handwritten note all mean something. Once a public figure trains the audience to read details as intimate truth.
Well, as you know, Dan, Maureen is sharper than 2 pins.
Very sharp
And
woman.
I think she's onto something that a lot of people have overlooked, because Meghan has not been wearing her engagement ring for some time. And it's ironic that on the one hand you have Maureen and people who are more in the know making the point that there's trouble in paradise. Then on the other hand, you have people who are less in the know saying, oh no, there's no trouble in paradise. Romeo and Juliet.
You cannot easily demand that other details be ignored. If a ribbon matters, a ring will matter. If a caption matters, a missing caption will matter. If a table setting matters, an empty chair will matter. For Harry, the problem is legal and emotional. He wants to defeat what he sees as media abuse, but the courtroom is a brutal place for narrative. Judges do not decide cases based on how wounded a claimant feels or how morally ugly the press may have been in the past. They decide based on evidence, pleadings, admissibility, limitation, causation, and proof. The Associated Newspapers' defeat underlined that difference. Harry's broader anger at the tabloid press may be understandable, but anger is not evidence. Suspicion is not proof. A plausible theory is not enough if lawful sourcing remains possible. That legal reality should make any new fight over rumour feel more dangerous. The Sussexes may still win cases where the facts and law support them, but a pattern of litigation can also make them look trapped in the past.
She has been, I don't know, I'm only speculating now, but maybe she was quite deliberately keeping off the engagement ring to get the message across that there might be trouble in paradise. I think it's called jerking the man's chain. There's even an expression for it. Well, hopefully he's not had his chain jerked to such an extent that he's going to be having Meghan leading him around by the collar yet again. But I think he will be led by the collar by Meghan, by the way.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
That is why the smartest response to the latest rumour may be the least satisfying one: discipline. Not every claim deserves a lawsuit. Not every commentator deserves a quote. Not every article deserves a counter-briefing. If the claim is false and damaging enough, legal action may be appropriate. But if the goal is broader reputational recovery, Harry and Meghan need to ask whether each response makes them look stronger or more consumed. The public is not only judging whether a particular rumour is true, it is judging whether the Sussexes seem stable, focused, mature, and capable of living without constant war. A couple at peace does not have to chase every shadow. A couple rebuilding trust with a king does not turn every provocation into a battlefield. The same applies to their critics. If the goal is genuine accountability, then critics should not weaken themselves by overstating what they know.
About seatbelt safety. Meghan, 33, married to 32-year-old Three Lions and Everton goalie Jordan, was posting during her trip to Ibiza via private jet. She captioned the video, "I love wearing my seatbelt in every environment. If it can go wrong for Princess Di, it can go wrong for any of us." Cue absolute meltdown and cancellation. Whereas Lady C, I don't know, I really think this is ludicrous. At the end of the day, I've often made that comment myself. You know, I've often made the comment.
Why would anybody in their right mind?
Meghan and Harry can be criticised for many documented choices. Public attacks on the royal family, contradictions around privacy, commercial use of royal status, failed or uneven media projects, and the way their disclosures affected family trust. There is no need to present unproven personal rumours as fact. Doing so gives Sussex defenders an easy escape route. They can dismiss all criticism as cruelty and conspiracy. Strong criticism is most powerful when it stays tethered to what can be shown. The moment it drifts into fantasy, it helps the people it means to expose. This is why the new idea framing is useful as a case study rather than a verdict. The magazine presented a Sussex-friendly denial and emphasised unity. Lady Colin Campbell rejected intimidation and defended her sources. Other commentators connected the rumour to Meghan's jewellery choices. Social media then turned all of it into a sprawling public investigation.
Nowadays, too many people feel entitled to shoot, quite frankly, feces from their mouths and expect us to be agog with admiration that they are aiming it at us instead of a lavatory bowl. I mean, what rubbish is this? That why would this woman be cancelled? What did she say that was wrong? She's absolutely right. Had Diana had on her seatbelt, she would have survived, just as how Trevor Rees-Jones, who had on his seatbelt, survived.
But none of that changes the basic responsible conclusion. There is no publicly established proof of an affair. What is established is that the Sussexes live inside a credibility storm where even a disputed claim can become a major story. That storm is partly media-driven, partly audience-driven, and partly created by the couple's own years of disclosure. The broader royal family will be watching this from a distance with familiar caution. King Charles wants some relationship with his younger son and grandchildren, but he also wants peace around the monarchy. William is widely understood to be far less open to reconciliation, especially where trust is concerned. Camilla, who endured decades of brutal press coverage herself, knows what it means for private life to become national sport. The palace instinct will be to stay well away from any Sussex marriage rumour, because nothing good can come from being pulled into it. But the palace also understands that every Sussex controversy now reflects indirectly on the crown. Titles keep the connection alive.
Initiative to support early career journalists. 25 winners will each receive up to £2,500 to turbocharge their career development. Sabera Lone on X posting, "This is interesting. My question is who would be offering the mentoring to these young up-and-coming journalists? Hopefully none of the rota," referring to the royal rota. And of course, there's also the worry, Lady C, that what if, you know, some members of the Sussex squad try and win this prize? And I don't know. I understand what Camilla is doing. Journalism is absolutely under threat because what you see.
Archie and Lilibet remain prince and princess. Harry remains the king's son. Meghan remains Duchess of Sussex. Their private storms are never completely private in constitutional terms, even when the institution refuses to comment. That is the unresolved contradiction at the heart of Harry and Meghan's life. They wanted distance from royal duty, but not distance from royal identity. They wanted freedom from palace control, but not freedom from the prestige of the palace connection. They wanted privacy, but also global platforms. They wanted to challenge the press, but also use media to tell their story. They wanted to protect their children, but also keep the family title central to their public identity. They wanted reconciliation, but not necessarily repentance. Those contradictions do not prove a marriage crisis, but they do create permanent stress. And when a public marriage is already carrying that much symbolic weight, rumours need very little help to spread. The Queen Camilla journalism discussion offers a useful closing lens.
It's to have journalists from the left, the right, and the centre, and they all categories of opinion need to be encouraged, because if she doesn't do that, she is actually undermining what journalism is all about. Because when I was a child, journalists had a fine reputation, and newspapers covered stories. They covered the pros, the cons, they covered the overlapping areas. Nowadays,
good journalism should be able to say two things at once. It should be able to say that Harry and Meghan have been unfairly targeted at times, and also that they have made choices that invited scrutiny. It should be able to say that Lady Colin Campbell has a right to comment, and also that unproven claims should be treated as unproven. It should be able to say that Meghan's missing ring may mean nothing, and also that public symbols become meaningful when a public figure builds a brand on symbols. It should be able to say that Diana's death remains sacred to many people, and also that seatbelt safety is a legitimate lesson from a terrible crash. It should be able to say that Camilla supporting journalists may be noble, and also that royal association with journalism must be handled with great care. That is the kind of nuance the current media climate rarely rewards. But it is exactly what this story needs. Without nuance, the Sussex conversation becomes a shouting match between two unhelpful certainties. One side says Harry and Meghan are always victims of a hateful machine. The other says every rumour about them must be true because they have lost the benefit of the doubt. Neither position is serious enough. The truth is more uncomfortable. Harry and Meghan have been treated cruelly at times, and they have also fed the very machinery that now surrounds them. They have legitimate grievances, and they have also overplayed grievance as a public identity. They deserve privacy in their marriage, and they have also made marriage and family central to their public mythology. So the latest rumour should not be remembered as proof of anything about Harry's private conduct. It should be remembered as proof of the condition of the Sussex narrative. A disputed claim, a missing ring, a magazine denial, a commentator's confidence, a legal cost backdrop, a Diana comparison, a seatbelt controversy, and a journalism prize all belong to the same larger moment. A public culture that no longer knows how to separate evidence from emotion. Harry and Meghan are not the only victims of that culture, but they are among its most visible architects. They used emotional storytelling to escape the monarchy. Now, emotional storytelling follows them everywhere. The way out is not another dramatic denial, another lawsuit, another interview, or another symbolic photograph. The way out is consistency over time. If the marriage is strong, let it be strong without demanding applause. If royal reconciliation matters, protect private meetings as private. If the press is wrong, challenge it where evidence justifies challenge, not as a reflex. If critics are cruel, do not make cruelty more profitable by answering every insult. If jewelry means nothing, stop building a brand where every object is treated as a clue to the soul. And if journalism is to recover trust, it has to resist both palace propaganda and anti-Sussex fever. The audience has had enough heat. What it needs now is proof, proportion, and a little restraint. That is why this story matters, even if the central rumour fades. It shows the Sussexes at a stage where the old tactics no longer work cleanly. Silence no longer protects them. Litigation no longer intimidates everyone. Celebrity sympathy no longer arrives automatically. Diana comparisons no longer guarantee emotional safety. Royal titles no longer carry unquestioned dignity when used outside royal duty. And public denial no longer restores trust by itself. Trust, once damaged, is not rebuilt by winning an argument in a magazine. It is rebuilt when people stop expecting the next contradiction. Until that happens, every ring, every rumour, every source, every court bill, every caption, and every offhand comment will keep becoming part of the same question. Not whether Harry and Meghan can still command attention, because they obviously can, but whether they can still command belief